I'm Cheyenne Hollis and welcome to Interesting Asia. Today I find myself with a really difficult task on my hands. I gotta taste test some potato chips and rank them. And namely, what we're gonna be ranking are the new Inspired By series from Lay's that you can find here in Thailand. There are a total of 5, I'm gonna set these down. There are a total of 5 of these currently available, and each one has a flavor that is inspired by a specific country in the world. If we're being honest, this is probably like the 5th or 6th time that Lay's has repackaged this concept in the past few years, but this one in particular sort of caught my eye, and I wanted to see what these chips were all about. I also grabbed 2 other sort of limited time only flavors that were inspired by specific locations. While not directly part of this promotion, they're sort of out and around, and it's my video, so I can do whatever I want. With that out of the way, you know, I guess it's time to try these chips and see just how good they really are. First up, we're going to be taste testing one of the flavors not included in the promotion, but Big C had a buy 2 get 1 free on the Lay's stacks, and this one did sort of feel like it felt with the theme of the video. It is Shrimp Tom Yum Hot Pot, obviously a very Thailand focused flavor. If I'm being totally honest, I'm not really looking forward to this one. Personally, not a big fan of Thai food, but that is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. So with that in mind, let's just get right into it. You'll notice these are pretty standard if you've ever had the Lay's stacks. They're quite powdery, if we're being honest. And here goes nothing. No. Like all Thai food, there's a lot happening in just that one bite. It is just an overwhelming amount of flavors. The first thing you get is just a heavy hit of lime. There's definitely some sour. As you progressed and eat further along, you got some more of the tom yum flavoring, a little of the coconutty, and then as you progress through swallowing, that's where the spicy is. That is kind of just lingering in my mouth right now. Yeah, that's a very busy flavor. There's just so much coming at you from that first bite. It's personally, it's overwhelming for me. Obviously, if you do enjoy shrimp tom yum hot pots, that's probably your thing. The one thing I did not taste in this one is shrimp. It is mostly lime and a little bit of coconut, and just that classic spiciness of Thai food. But one down, 6 more to go. Next up, we're going to knock out the other one that's not part of the Inspired by Lay's series, but this is a taste of Mexico. It's actually Mexican-style barbecue flavor. I grew up in California. I love Mexican food, and I can't really tell you what that flavor would be. And the picture here of what looks to be a random kebab does really nothing to enlighten you as to what exactly Mexican-style barbecue is. But let's pull some chips out and see what we have here. Pretty classic standard Lay's. It looks and smells basically like a barbecue potato chip, but let's see what we get to taste. I am going to let Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec describe that flavor.
Try the hottest new craze, beef milk. It's like almond milk that's been squeezed through tiny holes in living cows.
Milk.
This Mexican, this is barbecue. Like, there is maybe a hint of a little more spiciness, a little more heat to the chip, but this is just barbecue. This is a barbecue potato chip that's like fractionally more spicy. I don't know why they can get away with calling it Mexican style, but it's a barbecue potato chip, folks. Let's start our journey into the Inspired By series from Lay's with a trip to Italy and carbonara parmesan. We'll pull one out here and see what we have. These, they kind of remind me of sour cream and onion, if we're being honest. They have that very light sort of coloring. They've got that powdering. You'll get the classic little burn. But let's see what Carbonara Parmesan tastes like. It's okay. It has a little carbonara taste to it. It tastes more cheesy than anything else. There wasn't really anything overwhelming. It was like a very sort of light, milky cheese taste to it. When you first bite into it, you almost don't even feel anything. It almost felt like an original potato chip, and then you kind of get that carbonara sauce to it and a little bit of the Parmesan. I wouldn't say it's particularly interesting. It's definitely not something that makes you want to go back. Honestly, I could probably not eat another chip out of this bag. Again, it wasn't bad, but it was a very boring. It's a very boring flavor, a very boring taste to it. Next up, we head over to Taiwan for the 7-spiced crispy squid chip from Lay's. Having visited Taiwan and tried this very dish and having enjoyed it, I'm quite looking forward to this chip to see just what exactly it offers. Let's pull one out and see what we have. This one's a little red. It's actually not as powdery as some of the other ones we've tried so far. Very, again, standard Lay's potato chip, but here we go. That was odd. You can taste a lot of the different spices. A lot of spices sort of come at you. Not one is particularly overwhelming. Like the tom yum, you were just overwhelmed with flavor. When you try that, there wasn't any spice that was overwhelming, I would say, but there's just a few different spices coming at you, and it's hard to pick up on any one thing. It felt like you're just sort of like dodging, like, oh, here's some pepper, here's some salt. I don't really see where the squid came in either now that I think about it. There was a bit of a seafoody flavor to it, but it was mostly just the various spices sort of popping into your mouth at times per bite. Not bad, but I didn't really enjoy the experience of it. I just felt like you were, again, it was just sort of like you were getting hit with different things at different times. It didn't feel like eating crispy squid. I never got that feeling of the flavor replication of the 7-spice crispy squid did not hit me in this. There was just some spices, a little seafood. Overall, I'm kind of disappointed. We will stay in Asia, but head up, well, north of Taiwan to Japan for the Hotate Mentaiko flavor of the Lay's Stacks edition. As we mentioned, a few of these inspired by come in Lay's Stacked, and a few of them are in the classic Lay's. Right off the bat, this is a very red chip. You can see a red hue to this Lay's Stacked chip. You can also see there's quite a bit of salt, quite a bit of some other seasoning on there. Very powdery. If you look in the can, it's just covered in powder. So, personally, I like scallops. Not so hot on the mentaiko sauce. Not really my thing, but let's give it a go. Right off the bat, you'll notice this almost like this char grilled flavor to it. This is really quite enjoyable. I'm surprised how much I like it. When you first taste it, there's a char grilled flavor. You get a little of the scallop. The mentaiko sauce is there, but none of it is overwhelming. With some of the other chips we've had so far, you're just getting hit with all of these flavors. This is the first one we've tasted where there's sort of a harmony there. You get the creaminess of the mentaiko, you get the scallop, you get the char grilled, and it all sort of comes in this very balanced packaging. That was very, very enjoyable, all things considered. I wasn't expecting to like this one, but this right now is definitely up there, probably the best one we've had so far. And yeah, I think, again, the flavoring is very mellow. There's nothing just punching you in the face, for lack of a better term. It all blends well, and this is the first, I think, complete package of a flavor of this series. We are down to our final two flavors, and this one comes to us from France. It is the avocado cream cheese flavor. Honestly, I don't quite know what avocado cream cheese has to do with France. I haven't been to France in a while, but this isn't exactly a flavoring I associate with some of those other famous French flavors and famous French cuisine. It kind of reminds me of a Philly roll almost, if you think about it. If you just add some salmon, that's basically what you got. But I also am a little worried about this because cream cheese is a very powerful flavor. Cheese in general is typically very powerful, and sort of when you put it on a potato chip, it kind of cancels out everything else. On the other hand, avocado, I've never had an avocado potato chip before, but avocado, in my view, isn't the most dominant of flavors. It just sort of, it's in there, maybe you get a hint of it, but really, I'm curious to see how this works. Whoa, that is a very, very green potato chip. So these are green. These look freaking weird. This is a bit trippy. This is a Lay's chip, but it's just green. Very, very powdery as well. Classic Lay's, just heaping on the power. I assume that is where the cream cheese comes from. It's a green potato chip. Let's do it. It covered my hands in powder. That is wild, just how powdery that chip is. Flavor wise, it's a cream cheese chip. I don't know where the avocado comes in. I never felt like it was an avocado chip. If it wasn't green, you would have thought this was a cheese chip. You can taste a cream cheese to it. It's not just, you know, like your generic like yellow cheese. There was definitely something here that made it a cream cheese. It had a smoothness to it. It had that sort of richness you would expect from cream cheese, but no avocado whatsoever. If you're just saying making the chip green gives it an avocado cream cheese taste to it, I suppose that works, but really this is just a cream cheese chip that's green. As an American, I think I am legally obligated by the Constitution to make sure the American flavor went last. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. Maybe not. Anyway, this is lobster roll. I'm kind of excited to taste this. It's who doesn't love a good lobster roll, right? That being said, it's hard to know how the lobster roll flavor would play out. There's obviously a lot happening in a lobster roll. You have the lobster, you have some creaminess, there's the bun, which is a very underrated element of a good lobster roll. It's having a good bun, and you're not going to get a bun there, so I don't know how that's going to play out exactly, but let's see what we have here. So opening up the chips, these are, they've got the reddish hue. They look a bit like barbecue. They're not as powdery as some of the other ones we have, thankfully. Like those avocado cream cheese chips, that was wild how much powder they had. But these are almost just to kind of look a little bit like a standard barbecue chip. Hopefully it's a little better than the Mexican barbecue. Let's try lobster roll. It's not bad. There is a certain lobster element there, and I give them credit for that. They've captured the lobster essence of the flavoring in the chip. Unfortunately, I never got the feeling of a lobster roll. This is a lobster potato chip, which is decidedly un-American. I mean, well, it's not un-American, but you can find lobsters anywhere. You never get a creaminess. You never get anything like the bun. I mean, I guess maybe the hope is the chip replicates the bun, but it didn't do that. It was a lobster potato chip. While not bad, I actually enjoyed the lobster flavor. It didn't live up to the billing. When you're expecting a lobster roll and you just get a piece of lobster, you're kind of disappointed. And that's the feeling I have now, is that it was billed as something and it came and delivered as something close, but not quite what I wanted. Not bad though. Now that I have officially tried them all, it is time to rank what I have just tasted. Before I do that though, one thing needs to be said about the entire series. It's very cream based. 4 of the flavors in the Inspire By series have sort of a cream tilt to them. Avocado cream cheese, carbonara parmesan, mentaiko sauce, Boston roll, or not Boston roll, lobster roll. There's a cream element, and even though maybe like lobster roll didn't have the cream taste to it, it's a very heavy collection. And then of course we throw in tom yum, which has its own sort of creamy soup to it. So a very heavy on the cream side of the flavor spectrum, which is something I didn't necessarily realize until I was trying, and I was like, oh, it's another cream chip. With that out of the way, let's start. Number 7 is going to be Mexican style barbecue. This is a barbecue chip. Don't put Mexico on it. Number 6 is going to be the shrimp tom yum soup hot pot. Not for me. Again, not a big Thai food guy. This is just, it's very busy. There's just way too much happening. I mean, I guess I'm impressed that Lay's was able to capture so many elements of the shrimp tom yum soup hot pot, but like, holy hell, not in the chip, please. That did not do it for me. Number 5 is going to be the avocado cream cheese chip. It's green. It looks weird. It doesn't taste like avocados. It's just a cream cheese chip, and it was pretty dull and boring to me. There's really not a lot here that I can say. I mean, the green chip element of it, it could be cool, but as far as a flavor chip, no, pass. Number 4 is going to be the 7 spiced crispy squid. I personally, going into this is the one I had labeled as the chip to beat, but didn't deliver for me. There were a few spices here. You don't really get the essence of the 7 spice crispy squid that you would eat in Taiwan. And while I'm not expecting to eat something exactly like that, I think the flavor wise, it just missed the mark, and that was quite disappointing for me. Number 3, oh, as an American, I guess this hurts me. Not really, but yeah, it's the lobster roll. It's a good lobster flavored potato chip. I wouldn't mind having this in regular rotation, but it's not a lobster roll, and that is where it fails. But it's like I said, the lobster flavoring comes through quite good. In fact, I'm not going to eat one now, but yeah, solid chips, solid flavoring, just doesn't deliver on the promise of being a lobster roll. Like, if you wanted a lobster roll, you're going to be disappointed with this one. Number 2 is, well, I'm kind of disappointed to say, but it's the carbonara parmesan. As I was reflecting back and sort of thinking about which ones I liked the most and the least, this one was inoffensive. It was boring, but it didn't, there was nothing taking away from it. I couldn't find a negative with the chip. I mean, it's not overly powdery like some of the ones we tasted. The flavor is solid. There's nothing offensive about it. It's not a busy chip. It's just something you could snack on and be content with. But it's number 2. That disappoints me now that I think about it. But I can't find another chip that I've tasted beyond the first place chip that is better than it. So that's what it is. But speaking of the first place chip, we come to that now, and this is an upset for me, but the Hotate Mentaiko Lay's stacked, inspired by Japan. This is the chip. This is a great, complete package of flavoring. I mentioned it when I ate it. It's just a nice char grilled taste to it. The red coloring does throw me for a loop a bit. It's not overly powdery. Everything just comes together, and you get the sense of eating a hotate escallop with the mentaiko sauce. It's really just something else. So that is it. If you're in 7-Eleven in Thailand or any of the other millions of convenience stores here in the kingdom, and you're seeing this series, hopefully that can help guide you to avoiding a bad decision. Or, I mean, just try whatever you want. I'm not the best test case anyway. However, that does it for me. I'm Cheyenne Hollis. This is Interesting Asia. This Hotate Mentaiko is a pretty interesting chip. And anyway, wishing all of you, or telling all of you, to keep it interesting. That's what's up, folks.